Generally speaking, people don't like being forced into things, even if it's for the best and sake of another person. It's a pretty common trait amongst most humans. Whether it be tagging along to an event that you'd rather not attend, following through with a new diet that doesn't seem to make your mouth water, or taking up the mantle of a well-established and iconic figure that's been long associated with being the all-around picture-perfect person. It doesn't take much to say a modest no thank you, or simply choose to do something else, but it does take a lot of courage, altruism, and maturity to accept that these things will almost certainly help you grow as an individual, as well as benefit the ones around you. Which brings me to the penultimate episode of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Even though I've been Bucky's personal cheerleader to become the new Captain America, I have no issue with seeing Sam finally come into his own here and prepare for the title himself. This episode gives us that and a whole lot more to talk about, so let's get into it. Everything starts off with knockoff Cap running into an abandoned warehouse where he gets a brief moment to deal with the torment of losing his sidekick and killing one of the Flag Smashers because of it. Sam and Bucky instantly find him and begin to make the efforts to have Walker give up the shield. But you didn't think it'd be that easy, did ya? Hell no! We see a good old-fashioned, no-holds-barred 2-verse-1, which is undoubtedly the best action/fight sequence the show has given us so far. It reminded me and gave me vibes of Cap and Bucky vs. Iron Man from Civil War. The tension of the scene leading up to the brawl gives you goosebumps when you really pay attention to it. When Walker tells the duo they don't want to do this, I absolutely love the way Bucky almost gets lost staring at the shield before replying with a simple chilling,
"Yeah, we do."
Again, wonderfully shot and performed sequence. It really shows us Walker little by little losing himself more as he tosses the heroes around like ragdolls and tears off the Falcon's wings. And it all ends with the three on the ground, beaten down and out of breath. Then Bucky picks up the shield. You about to take it for yourself, bruh? Ah, shit. Nah, he gives it to Sam. And with it, a look of, you better not give this fucking thing up again. Jump over to Sam and Bucky regrouping and discussing how Carly has vanished and is most likely long gone, so Bucky dips out without a word, and Sam takes off with the shield, and not his broken wings. Is this him officially deciding to be Captain America now? Also, as I mentioned in my episode 1 review, the soldier Torres that Sam speaks with, who I was totally accidentally calling by his real name, Danny Rodriguez, in the other video, becomes a second Falcon in the comics. When Sam leaves this scene, Torres is left with the broken wings. Given the fact that he seemed interested in getting his hands on the tech in the first episode, I can only imagine this is a perfect opportunity for him to take those wings, fix them up, and use them for himself. Next up is the session in the courtroom where the Senate strips Walker of the Captain America title and discharges him from the military. He does his best to argue his side, but the law is the law, and there's nothing he could do about it. So he walks off in the midst of the hearing because it's just not fair. Seriously, man? It's not like I'm trying to not level with you. I am sorry for your loss, and given the circumstances, I'm sure many of us wouldn't be able to confidently say what we would or would not have done. But you fucking killed a guy in the middle of the street in broad daylight. You have to at least be willing to see more than just your side of this. So he goes to mope in the hallway with his girlfriend and gets a visit from, hey, Seinfeld girl. Her name here is Contessa Valentina Allegra de Fontaine. No, I'm not kidding. And I am not going to lie, I recognize the name, I knew it sounded familiar, but I totally had to pause the episode and look it up when this happened. Long story short, in the comics she was a bit of a double agent in the sense that she was at one point a high-level S.H.I.E.L.D. operative, an occasional lover of Nick Fury, ooh, as well as a high-level Hydra agent known as Madam Hydra. The talk they share is essentially her letting Walker know, don't worry, my clearly non-evil organization will hire you to be our personal weapon in the near future. I read that her character wasn't supposed to appear until the Black Widow movie, but since that has been pushed back enough times to make you wonder if Marvel even cares about it anymore, they just decided to throw her in here instead first. Man, I hope that Black Widow movie is decent. Carly demands to the Flag Smashers that they need to take more action, and then we pop over to Sokovia where Zemo is confronted by Bucky. The evildoer advises to kill Carly once again, but he's not about that life anymore, and the Dora Milaje sneak up to take Zemo away to the infamous jail known as The Raft. Sam heads over to visit Isaiah Bradley to have a heart-to-heart about further understanding his history and what went wrong. Why were all of his heroic actions brushed away and forgotten about? Why was he in jail, and what happened to him while he was in there? You definitely have to watch this scene to feel the emotional weight of it. It's really deep. The final words Isaiah utters to Sam is that they'll never let a black man be Captain America. And even if they would, no self-respecting black man would want to be. I actually really like this line being thrown out to Sam. It gives such a grounded feeling to his ever-growing hesitation on taking up the mantle. Sam heads back to his sisters to help finally put the family boat back together. He makes some calls to have the townspeople help out, and even Bucky stops by to lend a hand. Not just that, but he brings by a gift for Sam courtesy of the Wakandans. It's totally going to be his new Falcon Captain America hybrid costume. Walker delivers the news about Lamar to his family. Sharon has an extremely suspicious conversation with a French guy, who I'm taking a wild guess to be George St. Pierre, and Sam and Bucky have a wonderful bond-building talk while tossing the shield around a bit. Hey, they're finally friends now. Sam shows his sensitive side while talking with his sister as she helps him finally convince himself to be the new Cap. And then we get an epic training montage. Carly reveals that she's now in play with George St. Pierre, which, if I was right about the earlier phone call, this confirms Sharon is up to some shit. Then we cut over to a room full of the most important decision makers of the world, apparently, who get their meeting taken over by some Flag Smasher followers who might as well have just said Hail Hydra the way they went about this. Not enough small scenes cut together for you? Well, the episode wraps up with one more teeny one of Sam opening up his Wakandan Christmas gift, but of course they don't show us what's inside. Come on, just show us the new suit. Don't turn it off quite yet, though. We get our first mid-credit scene in this episode. It's a small one, but it shows John Walker in the beginning stages of making his own Captain America shield, which makes sense since he has his own in the comics, though I do wonder where he got the materials and what materials he's using. Also, what is he, a blacksmith in his spare time? Anyway, that's the breakdown of episode 5, Truth. This episode is quite possibly my favorite episode of the show thus far. It doesn't contain much action, but the little it does is weighted, impactful, and serves as a legitimate bridge for multiple characters. Walker goes off the deep end and gets his shield taken from him, realistically the only thing tying him to the role at this point other than the serum. Bucky shows a true sign of selflessness by being the first to grab the shield at the end, but then gives it back willingly to Sam. And Sam visibly shows his acknowledgement that maybe he shouldn't have given that shield away to begin with. The rest of the episode contains some of the most emotional and well-acted moments the show has given us. Everything from Sam and his sister's ever-growing connection, uncovering and understanding John Walker's humanity in the midst of the chaos he's living through, and Bucky finally accepting what he really needs to do in order to find peace. It's hard to find an issue here without nitpicking. However, I did find it a bit odd that we're going into the last episode without really knowing what anyone is about to be up against. Carly clearly has some grandiose plan of action in store for the Flag Smashers, and George St. Pierre is willing to team up with them to get revenge on the Falcon, but there's been no straightforward explanation or sign as to what they're gearing up towards. And unless it really is Sharon, which I'm starting to feel would kind of be disappointing at this point, we still haven't seen the Power Broker. Maybe it's Julia Louis-Dreyfus. She was fun to see simply because I'm aware of her as an actress, but I'm not entirely sure what to guess as to what's to come now that she's here, other than she's got to be the one giving Walker the resources to build his own shield, and most likely take on the new mantle of US Agent, which is what he's best known as in the comics. Hypothetically speaking, if she is the Power Broker and does do her business out of Madripoor, a well-known spot for dealing with mutants in the comics, perhaps the material they gave Walker to make his new shield is adamantium, the same metal that Wolverine's claws and skeleton are covered in, and is one of the other hardest substances in the Marvel Universe next to vibranium. Past that, who knows? All I can tell you is I like what they did here, and I cannot wait to see what they have in store for the finale. The ending to Marvel's first Disney Plus series, WandaVision, was not terrible, it just could have been much better, and left a little to be desired, so I'm hoping this doesn't leave me with a similar feeling. We'll have to just somehow contain ourselves and remain patient. Let me know all of your thoughts and opinions in the comments, like the video if you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you at the next review.